And since you mentioned one of the downstate is about sleep, and you study slow wave sleep, so deep sleep. A lot of people, nowadays keep on telling me, well, I want to be productive, so I need to use some method to increase my deep sleep state, right? Somehow there's a magical idea if I can sleep more in the deep sleep stage, then I possibly gonna be more energetic when I'm awake. So is that a myth or there's some science behind it?
No, I think that that's probably accurate. I think that people are actually, they're decreasing in their amounts of deep sleep, and that deep sleep is actually the most restorative sleep. That's where we have the decrease in our stress hormones, the increase in things like growth hormone, melatonin. We have the protein, in the deepest part of sleep during slow waves, you have this protein synthesis that can only happen during deep sleep. You also have the consolidation of memories, right? Sort of the strengthening of memories in your experiences and creation of creative associations. There's so many things, including the plumbing system in the brain that washes out the proteins that build up across your day of active thinking. And those proteins really need to be washed out, or they can become toxic for the brain, and they can lead to the tangles that are developing in dementia and Alzheimer's. And so for sure that slow wave sleep, deep sleep is incredibly important. But what's interesting is my research in my own lab has looked at the fact that it may not only be slow wave sleep, it may be the fact that during slow wave sleep, you have this natural increase in autonomic activity. So we have the central nervous system and we have the autonomic nervous system. And the autonomic nervous system is usually thought of as being, there's the fight or flight, the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest system, and that these are kind of in opposition with each other. One is like a stress response and the other one is a relaxation response. Well, across the day, you have high levels of the sympathetic activity. And during night, you naturally have high levels of parasympathetic activity, another wave, right? High sympathetic and then low sympathetic, where it's low sympathetic, high sympathetic. And that natural increase in parasympathetic during the first part of sleep, which is where you have your deepest slow waves, that seems to be very important for all of these health benefits and cognitive benefits and emotional benefits that we see happening with sleep. And the question is, can we access some of that parasympathetic activity during the day so that we don't put all of the pressure on nighttime sleep to satisfy all of the needs that we've built up across the day? And I think that there's a lot of research to say, yes, we can, that we can do a lot of work to bring increased levels of parasympathetic activity. And I call this all restorative activity. Any kind of restorative activity that you can bring during the day can mean that you don't have to put so much pressure on sleep to be the answer.
Oh, wow. That's great to know. I know how many people are obsessive about, oh, do I sleep enough? Oh, recently I'm so stressful, I cannot sleep well. What should I do? I cannot function the next day. And then they start catastrophizing, panicking, and sleep.
And it's harder for them to sleep. Exactly, right? So I think that it's great that people are now aware of the importance of sleep, but you don't want to be so aware that you can't sleep.
Yes, you try to help yourself, but you're harming your sleep.
Right. So some of the things that I talk about in the book, how to bring more, amplify more of the restorative work during the day starts with the breath, right? Your breathing is the best measurement and the best regulator of the balance between your stressful, revving up sympathetic system and your more relaxing restorative system. When you really engage in slow, deep breathing and control your breathing, that sends a very strong signal to your sympathetic system that you are in control of the situation, that you are not, you're not in a stressful situation, that you have a positive level of sort of feeling around you because you are relaxed. And so that sends a very strong signal to your brain and your body that it can deepen restorative response. And in fact, you do see with slow, deep breathing and HRV biofeedback training, when you're really engaging deep breathing with some sort of visual stimulus to tell you, are you doing it correctly, basically, that you see really strong increases in parasympathetic restorative activity during the day. And that can lead to cognitive increases, better emotion regulation, better sleep at night, and just greater health in general. So these are that it starts with breath, but then there's many different things around breath that you can actually do. Also, being with, checking in with people that you love and that love you, being with people who are make you feel safe, make you feel taken care of, make you feel loved, being in nature. These are also things that, there's the city streets, right, that are not natural, right? But then there's parks, there's oceans, there's forests, there's deserts, there's anything that you can connect with nature, because there's literally chemicals that are being given off by trees and by plants that are immuno boosting, and they also give you a greater sense of pleasure and restorative power than, say, working out in the gym or taking a walk in the city. So trying to connect with nature on a regular basis is also really important.
Wow, wonderful. I hear a lot of great strategies, possibly our listeners, our audience can really start using and practicing. A lot of connection to yourself, connection to other people, connection to the surroundings. Sounds like very grounding.
Yeah, there's nothing new about how to be healthy, right? It's exercise is another one, how to eat well is another one, but none of these things are things that, your great-great-grandparents didn't know. But we've somehow lost touch with these natural rhythms, and we've lost touch with how to optimize our most kind of naturally powerful selves, because of all of the, what I call these upstate parties. There's constantly some party that you want to go to, and it's either electronic, it's either overeating with, and eating fast food and eating unhealthy food, it's being sedentary, right? It's just working all the time in front of your computer. There's all these sort of things that drive us away from our natural instincts to be healthy. And I think that is one of the things I think that is important, is to remember and go back to the basics. And these rhythms are basic. Every animal and plant and bacteria abide by them.
Mm-hmm. Knowing the basics versus doing the basics, right? Or even remembering there are basics out there, I think it's not easy. Mm-hmm.
Well, I don't think it's talked about even, in medical science. Like people, the how often are doctors asking people, and how are you sleeping, and how much exercise are you getting, and how much outdoor light are you seeing in the day? All these questions. How many times do you have people that you're connecting with that you love, that you see, during the day? How connected are you to your social network, right? All these parts, they contribute to your well-being, but they also contribute to that rev restore, that sympathetic parasympathetic ratio that you need to balance on a daily basis. And if we did more of that kind of more global thinking about people, as opposed to just treating individual problems, I think that would be, a great step towards sort of preventative medicine.
Kind of like a whole lifestyle change to teach people the importance of downstate and how to use these scientific ways to really generate more downstate, no matter like in sleep and especially out of sleep.
Yeah, and having, doctors, make sure that they're tracking that with their patients, having corporations and employers tracking that with their employees. All of these opportunities are there. and they benefit not only the individual, but they also benefit um, the corporate world, right? They benefit the employer to have people who are not getting as sick, and we don't have to, like the insurance rates and all these things. So there's definitely a two-way street, but it has to become a cultural discussion, right? It has to be, we can do as much as we want on an individual basis, but to really make a cultural shift, we need to also go to the top, to leadership. And I think that would be also a great place to start.
Yeah, well, hopefully, slowly all this movement gonna move forward. A lot of people, organizations gonna slowly change and really take this like as an important thing.
Mhm.
We'll talk about downstate and upstate, right? So that remind me a lot of my patients actually complain. Sounds like their brain or their body works so hard in the middle of the night. And some people, if they worry a lot and they are under a lot of stress, so they find themselves very easy to wake up in the middle of the sleep. And then their heart may be pounding while upon awake, or they start worrying once they are awake in the middle of the night and cannot go back to sleep. Do you think this is something related to the sympathetic system you are talking about, or this is something else?
No, that's exactly the sympathetic system. So the more sympathetic arousal that you have into the night, the more your heart rate increases, the more your body temperature stays high, the more cortisol, stress hormone levels stay high. And all of these are factors that have been shown to be directly related to how deep your sleep will be, and how deep your sleep will be, and conversely how fragmented your sleep will be, and how light your sleep will be, and that is the least restorative sleep, right? That fragmented light sleep that's constantly switching between early stages of sleep and not really getting down to that deep slow wave sleep. So definitely, once we, I think a lot of the time as sleep researchers and as sleep doctors, we do a lot to talk about just that bedtime experience. But I think, if we really think about a person in a more holistic way, and we start thinking about, well, what did they do all day that led them up to this moment where they're super highly aroused when they should be really heading into the downstate? I think that's critical, and and how it may be asking a lot of doctors to start saying, well, when did you exercise? Like, did you, because exercise is incredibly predictive of your slow wave sleep amounts, right? What did you eat today? If you're eating too late in the day, your melatonin is going to be delayed, right? So eating can affect your sleep. When you exercise, so if you exercise and have a high cardiovascular output exercise, like a HIIT exercise, and you do that too late in the afternoon, what happens is that jump starts a huge sympathetic arousal state, and it takes it a long time to decrease your heart rate and decrease that stress drive, and for the restorative system to come as a follow-up, that will happen also much later. So you're pushing that kind of sympathetic arousal into your nighttime sleep. So the idea is, can you move your high intensity exercise, high intensity cardiovascular exercise to a morning time? Because that allows for your sympathetic drive to have enough time to decrease, and your restorative drive to have enough time to increase, so that when you are actually going to sleep, you have that beautiful synchronicity or syncing up of the deep slow waves with your restorative parasympathetic increase that comes after exercise. So timing of exercise can be very important for when for how deeply you can be getting to sleep. And so morning exercise predicts better slow wave sleep than later afternoon exercise. So there's a lot of different things to think about that are not just about the bedroom, that are what you've been doing all day.
Right. Oh, I love that. I think that's such important information everyone need to keep in mind, right? Sleep is not just about the time right before you go to bed. It's not just about being on bed in the bedroom. sleep is a whole day thing. Circadian rhythm is a whole day thing. And it sounds like it's not exactly what we do from day to day that are important. Also the timing, what we do what, when we do what, right?
Exactly.
Also,
It's what we do, it's when we do it, right? It's, we talk about eating, and of course we want to eat, the number of calories matter, but it's also when we're eating those calories, because that can also predict when our melatonin onset occurs, right? So that, and there's a lot of discussion around time restricted eating and intermittent fasting, and are they healthy, are they not healthy, what are they doing? But definitely studies show that the more you can push the majority of your calories to this upstate time when you have the highest level of metabolism, and then allow your metabolism to go into a downstate towards the evening, and then not eat at night, because that just wakes up your sympathetic arousal system, that's also going to affect your sleep.
Yeah. So I definitely got a lot of questions from people asking when they should exercise. So it sounds like there is some connection between morning exercise and better slow wave.
Specifically the cardiovascularly intense exercise, the stuff that really gets your heart pumping. Weight training actually is better in the afternoon. There seems to be some genetic variation, that is a circadian variation around weight training, that you can actually gain more muscle mass in the afternoon. But they're really, the speed running, anything that, swimming, anything that really is cardiovascularly intense, you should do that in the morning.
Oh, well, I used to remember back in college, I used to participate in the volleyball team. We had to get up like 5 a.m. every day to practice volleyball. Around that time, I thought I was like sleep deprived, but end up I was so energetic all day long. I could focus on study. I could do a lot of things. I was like, wow, amazing. More
How was
super
your
early
sleep?
morning.
Yeah. How was your sleep?
Sleep very well, actually. If I choose to go to bed early, I definitely no problem with sleep and feel so good. So think back then, that's what's like very healthy period of time of my life.
And I think also just that what you said is, getting to sleep early, because there's a time to the night that can predict when you're getting your most deep sleep. And it really is the early part of the night, because eventually if you go to sleep too late, you're going to have, as you know, the REM sleep is going to come in, and it's a circadian rhythm that just pushes REM sleep to increase in quantity. And once you have high REM sleep, you can't really have any more slow wave sleep. So you really want to devote early, getting to bed early, so that you make sure you maximize the time that people can, the opportunity for slow wave sleep in the first part of the night. And then you'll have, the REM sleep in the second part of the night. But if you try to go to sleep too late, you'll miss that slow wave sleep opportunity.
Oh, wow. So sounds like there are strategies and method people can think of how to increase their deep sleep.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, work on autonomic activity during the day, exercise early, high intensity cardiovascular exercise early, eating less in the evening, but also getting to bed early for sure is a really great one.
Wow, awesome. I'm sure a lot of people would love these suggestions, and I'm sure there are much more in your book people can find out, right? So if any of our audience are really interested in your book, where can they find it?
They can find it on any bookstore. It should be in most bookstores. It's on Amazon Bookshop. They can go to my website, saramednick.com, and then there's links to buy the book there, or you could just go to Amazon or wherever you buy your books from. Of course, the small booksellers need your need your support as well. And yeah, and then there's a lot of different information on the website as well. There's different talks I've given and a lot of press that we've gotten, so people can read more about it.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I myself also really look forward to reading the book. Sounds like it just got out and very fresh, right? And our audience possibly can be really excited to be one of the first group to really read it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the show, any last wisdom you want to share with whoever are listening right now?
I guess, part of the thing is, it's okay to have times where you're not behaving perfectly, of course, all of these kind of recommendations they can be stress inducing themselves, right? Of, oh, what if I don't go to bed that early tonight? Or what if I, change this or change that? And you just want to also be really open to the fact that your rhythms are very strong and they forgive, right? And so a little bit of leeway here and there is okay. You don't want to get stressed out by thinking of these as hard and fast rules, but they are great intuitive processes to just think about and say, well, I know that everything is related. And so what I'm doing right now is going to affect what my goal is for sleep and what my goal is for my next day. So how can I sort of maximize my decision making so that I'm kind of at my best as much as possible.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Mednick, for sharing all this wonderful knowledge with us.
Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure.
Okay.